And now I'm uploading that image directly from my machine to our CDN, which is Akamai. And so once this is hosted on Akamai, as a marketer, you don't have to worry about an asset library, you don't have to worry about your CMS. It completely goes around that. It's a layer on top of your website. And it's hosted for you. You don't have to worry about it being slow or anything like that. Unfortunately, now it's a bit hard to read this text, so what I'll do is I'll just grab this text. I'll grab this block right here and say move and resize, and using just drag and drop, I can move it over to the right-hand side. It's a bit dark, so maybe I'll just grab this. Change the style a little bit, and let's just make this maybe a bit easier to read. There, without knowing anything about the structure of this page or the layout of this page, I can go quickly create a new variation, compare it to the original, and get up and running in minutes. So this was the original inspiration behind optimizing, and we've come a long way since. I'm going to go back, and I can come back to this if there's questions, but I want to move a little bit forward in my presentation. So Y Combinator was a great experience. This is actually, I'll show you a little bit of the history of our company. In 2010, we started, or early 2010 we started. This is our annual run rate here on the y-axis. This little blue dot here in the beginning of 2010, that was that first couple $1,000s per month we were earning, and we had a handful of other customers as well. We hired a great team. We hired my identical twin brother who went to Berkeley, and another guy, Elliot. We had a team of 4 by the end of 2010, and that team helped us get to launch. So in October of 2010, we launched to the public, and this is the first time we'd ever become something people came to as opposed to something where we had to go to our customers. And so we had this huge influx of inbound leads and inbound interest. It was very highly ranked on Hacker News, had a lot of latent demand for this. The idea of A/B testing wasn't new. The ability to do it in a dramatically easier way that didn't rely on developers was. So by the end of 2010, we reached this amazing milestone. We were like celebrating champagne, $100,000 in annual run rate. We're like, whoa, this is a real business. We can forget everything else we're doing. We just coast from here. Instead, actually, we continued to grow, and we doubled. In 2011, we hired Ricky, our first support person, Jeff, who's sitting over there from Stanford, Matt, our first sales guy, Ryan, a designer at Mengxiao, and Julio, our second sales guy. And by the end of 2011, we reached this other milestone. We added another 0. We're at $1 million annual run rate. We're like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's like a real business. We continue to grow, and you can see this graph sort of slowly inching its way to the up and to the right, which if you ever talk to investors, that's always the direction you want the graphs to go. And in the first 2 quarters of 2012, we doubled again. We hired a director of engineering, a bunch more folks to help us continue to scale and grow. And we reached another milestone. We reached roughly a $4 million annual run rate. And in the rest of the year, we're still continuing. Q3, we doubled again. And today, this is actually not including everyone, we're almost going to be to about 50 people. So this is a great opportunity for us, and we were able to now not only build a product people wanted, but we could build a very efficient sales model where people were interested in us. We got a lot of great press. We were in Wired and CNN. TechCrunch wrote about us a bunch. And we're able to get not only the handful of salespeople within our company to sell a product, but we had 2,800 customers of ours who were evangelists for us. And so companies like Starbucks or Salesforce or Disney, they used Optimizely, and if they enjoyed the product and had a delightful experience, they'd tell their colleagues at another company, or maybe the marketing conference, they'd mention this thing called Optimizely. And so I want to end by just talking a little bit about this graph. So I don't know if anybody here is a math major or understands some basic math, but this is an exponential graph, which is kind of cool, and eventually I'll show you what will happen here. But if you take this graph, and if this goes, the y-axis here is to 10 million, we can just do some simple math and actually just shrink this down, and let's just make the same exact graph go to 100 million. You just do some math and figure, okay, well, what does that mean? What happens with an exponential graph if you're going to 100 million? Well, in not too distant future, we're going to be the biggest company in the world. At some point, our growth will have to slow down, so that's likely not to happen. But we're in this exciting point in our company's growth where we know we've built a product people want, we have a product market fit, we're not working on something like Carrot 6 that didn't have a distribution model or a sales model or a revenue model. We've learned a lot along the way, and we know that the next evolution for our company is to take a team, what we have today, 30 or 40 people, grow that and help build some of the DNA that we've built today into the people that we hire. And the only reason we're ever going to get to this number, to 100 million and beyond, is if we bring a great team of people together, hopefully some of the folks in this room, and really go after the opportunity we have in the future. And I want to end by just talking a little bit about the vision for our company, and then we have plenty of time for questions. The vision for our company is really appealing to me because it started off with just this idea of let's build something I would have wanted during the Obama campaign to make it really easy for anybody to do it. We've done that. We've now surpassed Omniture Test and Target, which was the incumbent 800-pound gorilla. We're the most highly adopted testing tool amongst the top 10,000 websites on the list. But A/B testing is just the beginning. A/B testing is a great way to come up with the average best thing to show somebody. If you go to BarackObama.com, or I go there, or my mom goes there, we all get generally the same experience today. But there's a huge opportunity to use all of the data that we have about an individual to show that person exactly the right thing at the right time, and enable businesses to do that as well. And so the future of Optimizely isn't around what's the average best A/B test to show somebody. But how do you go further? How do you go to segmentation? How do you look at people who come from a mobile device, or people who've been to your pricing page, or people who maybe came from Facebook? And those people are all very different groups of people. How do you go a step further? How do you do personalization? How do you do things with Amazon, or Netflix, or Pandora, which are all predicated on this idea of using data to help improve your experience? How do we take those ideas and bring it to the masses? And personalization, just like A/B testing, isn't a new term. But our vision is to help make personalization dramatically easier so that any mere marketing mortal can do it and get the same benefits that Amazon or companies like them do. So that's the vision we're heading toward. And I'll end by just saying one last thing. We're hiring. We're glad you're here, and certainly very excited to have you. We're going to do, at the end of the hour, we're going to do a drawing for the iPad mini. But in the meantime, thank you all very much for being here. So I'd love to answer any questions. People thinking about starting companies, or want to do Y Combinator, or Google, or anything like that. How many people here are seniors?
Or
grad students? All right. Juniors?
co-term.
Come together.
Co-term.
Okay. Any freshmen here? Any precocious freshmen? Okay. Good. So it's a great audience. Love to answer any questions.
So how many people do you need to visit the site to make the A/B test to
The question is, how many people do you need to come to your site to make the test statistically significant? And there's no universal answer to that. A general rule of thumb is that you need at least 100 conversions per variation that you're testing. And so it's not the number of visitors that necessarily matters, the conversion event, because that's the number. If you do a simple t-test, you look at conversions divided by visitors for both groups. That's the metric you look at. Our tool, in order to determine statistical significance, will do a simple t-test and look for anything that has 95% confidence or greater. Realistically, what that means is most websites that get value out of doing A/B testing today typically need at least 200,000 visitors per month, and then on up. Certainly, if you're a company like, for example, Orbis or Disney, who are customers of ours, they can get statistical significance in the order of hours or maybe even days. Smaller companies and certainly startups might take weeks or months to get statistical significance.
How deep is the variation? Like, you tweak the homepage, can you like tweak the entire site for a specific group of users and then test it on them, or do you have to like create individual variations and just have like one path for all of them?
Yes. So the question is, can you use Optimizely, I guess, to help do an experiment across the entire site